If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello, welcome to another mini Monday episode of the No Rest for the Vivid podcast with me, Claire Hill, your host. And today I want to talk to you about the Stockdale paradox. I knew that I was going to stumble then. Paradox. Now, if you don't know what paradox means, which I'm sure you do, it's about holding two opposing beliefs, things that may be opposite at exactly the same time. One of those examples may be that even if something feels uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And the Stockdale paradox is about believing that you are going to prevail, that you have faith in yourself, that you are going to get to where you want to be, but also at exactly the same time acknowledging the brutal facts of your reality. As in, right now, I have, for example, excuse that Google notification. Right now, I have for example, all of the faith I could possibly dream of in achieving what I want to achieve with me and my business or in my life and my life goals. But right now, I accept the fact that there is £0 in my bank account and that I have to pay the water bill tomorrow, for example. Probably the water bill is not that, it's not the kind of bill that is a priority. We should all pay our bills, obviously, but that you've got no food in the cupboards and you need to eat, for example. Now, having that faith in yourself, as well as accepting the brutal facts of your reality, is something that can be quite challenging. A paradox for me in business is definitely, accepting the brutal facts of my reality, but not losing my faith. But also another paradox that I may face in my business is feeling the fear, but feeling very excited at exactly the same time. That's a really good paradox. Or like I said, feeling discomfort, but knowing that at the end of it, I'm going to feel really good about it. I'm going through that at the moment. I am going through a period of growth in the business, and it's becoming quite hard. It's becoming a challenge for me not to derail myself. Self-sabotage. Now, thankfully, I'm very aware of how much of a bastard my self-sabotage can be. So it's like I'm just taking careful steps and feeling like looking after myself more as I'm going through this, and that's okay. But being self-aware, but pushing myself and still having belief that everything's going to turn out exactly as it should, because it will. I have not come this far to only come this far. But also, I was shitting myself that what if everything turns out how I want it to? How weird to worry and feel scared about everything turning out exactly as it should. But the paradox there is, I understand I feel like that. But on the other side of it, the other side of the balance, I know I have belief in myself. I know I have the evidence to show that all of that success is coming, and I could just need to hold fast, trust the process, and hold my nerve. But it's these paradoxes. Like, I'd be really interested, if you're listening to this episode, how many other paradoxes do you have in your business? Now, the reason why I should have started with this, but the reason why I'm talking about this paradox is because I was inspired by a podcast episode with Brené Brown and Barack Obama. And I listened to this episode probably a couple of years ago, quite a while ago. And Barack Obama said about leadership is holding two opposing things in your mind as you go forward in leadership, and being able to balance those things. And it's that balance as leaders in our own companies and our businesses that we can move forward and be persistent. This is our word of the week in Project Warrior Boss at the moment. Thank you, Victoria. But being persistent with our belief in ourselves, being persistent with showing up in whatever form we need to become our best selves, our ideal selves, being persistent in the belief of ourselves, at the exact same time, holding our hand, the reality of the facts. Where do we need to work? Where do we need to show up? Having that strategic side of it and holding that balance, that it's okay to feel scared at exactly the same time as having belief in yourself, and understanding that balance and not letting the fear sort of trip you up a bit. And that's where self-sabotage goes. So the reason I wanted to do this episode is that I'm just holding a fine balance. And part of that holding that fine balance is making sure I'm looking after my mindset, being really consistent with my my plans, and being very disciplined, very, like, I'm so disciplined at the moment. I'm actually in massive action mode, me and my husband. My husband's also in it at the moment. And it's just 2 weeks where we say, right, we're in massive action mode. What are we wanting to achieve within these 2 weeks? Where do we want to be? What's going to go well? And we sort of reflect. Well, definitely I do at the end. I reflect and think, like, what do I want to have achieved? What's gone well, etc. So lots going on at the moment, as you can tell. But I'm approaching my 100th episode, and I think this, if there's anything that shows the true paradox, true example of the Stockdale paradox, is when I began this podcast, knowing and being very excited about the prospect of it, but actually the exact same time accepting the harsh reality of the facts that I had no idea how to start a podcast. I just knew how to apply the 1% factor, and the 1% factor in that was Google, how do you start a podcast? And now I'm nearly at my 100th episode, so amazing. I think this is episode 89, so oh god, that's like 11 episodes away. Oh, anyway, I've edged into 7 minutes again. Please share with your friends, tell everybody about the podcast. It means so much. And if anything ever that I've said to you has made an impact, please, to show your gratitude for that, please subscribe to the podcast, but also subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you just search I am Claire Hill on YouTube, you will find me. Please subscribe, and you can watch this podcast there too. Okay, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vidler.